David Moyes' perception of Moyesball and maybe your perception of Moyesball are possibly two very, very different things. I'm quite sure David Moyes doesn't consider it to be Moyesball at all, but let's just call it the way David Moyes would love to play. His ideal, his perfect team, if you were to sit him down and say, Moyes, how do you see a team playing? I think I could pretty much conjure it up in my mind. Now, if we're going to call it Moyesball, I think I saw Moyesball in the 2-0 loss against Nottingham Forest. Unfortunately, it was Nottingham Forest who were doing it to perfection. And what exactly is that? If I were to say what David Moyes would want, and I would have to guess here, it would be an attritional centre-half, very, very combative centre-half. Some attritional full-backs who can dominate their wingers, but also provide some threat on the counter-attack. The whole team, of course, would be a counter-attacking team. They'd be combative in midfield, hopefully with somebody that can unlock the door. A little bit of pace on the wing, some supply there, and then a mobile yet strong centre forward. That would be David Moyes' ideal team. What I've also just described is Nottingham Forest, of course. Now, unfortunately, this sort of dream ideal, this utopian idea that David Moyes would have in his mind's eye is never something we ever get to. It's the promised land that we just, it's the destination that never gets reached, basically. And that's because David Moyes takes far too long to build a team. There was a lot of that Nottingham Forest team who have been hurried together in the last 12 months, maximum 24. You remember when they first came up to the Premier League, they spent a lot of money. They may well still get in trouble for that. And then there was another exodus again and more came in. But I looked at a lot of that Nottingham Forest team and thought, wow, just look at how they're playing. This is a David Moyes wet dream, if you want what's going on at Nottingham Forest. That's not a nice image, is it, really? Anyway, I was quite taken aback by that, really. And I just think if I was David Moyes, I'd probably be a little embarrassed that this sort of ramshackle Nottingham Forest team that's sort of been hurried together are doing a better job of doing than what David Moyes wants to do. Of course, even if that was a fleeting speck in his mind, what I've just said, even if there was a grudging sort of fleeting bit of admiration when he looked at him and thought, I'd like my team to play like that, of course it'd be dismissed instantly because David Moyes thinks he's on a journey. David Moyes has got his project. Also, David Moyes can probably look back and say, well, hold on a second, as good as that team might be, I've won the European trophy, sort of who's laughing now, so to speak. But I think that sort of thinking probably puts a spin on the situation which is not totally reflective of it. There's a few of the players that stick out in my mind. Let's start off with the two wingers. Let's start with Elanga and Hudson-Odoi. They were really good. They played really, really well. And aside from what I gleaned from the commentary, Hudson-Odoi is in good goal-scoring form, right? Maybe scored in the last 3 games, something like that. David Moyes would never have signed either of those players. Even though they're quick, even though they're skillful, even though they could offer an awful lot to a counter-attacking team. It's regular watchers of the channel would know it's been my frustration for quite some time, for years now, how slow the team is and how I wanted Areola in the team for a long, long time because I just felt he suited counter-attacking football more. I've always wondered why a counter-attacking team didn't have more mobile players. We've seen a little bit more of it this season, I think primarily because Areola's starting, because Kudus in the team. There are a few other options as well, but with players that can pick out a good long pass, none better than Lucas Paquetá, of course. But by and large, it's taken him a long, long time to get there, hasn't it? And I think I just can see him not signing Elanga, not signing Hudson-Odoi. He would have found reasons not to. He would have looked at what they couldn't do rather than what they could do. And just the transfers would never have been made. And then you've got this character thing, haven't you? This David Moyes MOT, which I think has been shown to be an absolute farce, really, because we've had players with their fair share of attitude problems. It's not like David Moyes' MOT has yielded a more headstrong, less troublesome squad than anybody else. Far from it, actually. I would also say, where was David Moyes' MOT? Where was his fine character in terms of his players when we were getting bullied by Bristol City or bullied by Nottingham Forest? I haven't seen it. I don't think it's evident. And that's another thing that he would have looked at. Look at the way Danilo as well was very, very impressive, wasn't he, in the middle? We don't really seem to be having anybody doing that sort of thing either. We'll get to Awoniyi in just a second, but let's talk about, for a second, let's talk about Murillo. Murillo is better, seems to be better than any centre-half West Ham have. And I know that's quite a statement, and it's very early in his career. But he is excellent. He was the equal of anything West Ham had to offer. He was fast, he was strong, really good positional sense, skillful. Now, here's the thing about Murillo. As I understand it, and I'm only going, I don't know, I don't have an encyclopedic knowledge of the Brazilian league, far from it. I'm only reciting what I hear. He was playing, 18 months ago, he was playing under 20s football in Brazil. Imagine that for a second. What would have happened, even if West Ham had assigned him, what would have happened? Because to get somebody from under-20s football in Brazil who wasn't playing senior football takes insight, it takes really good scouting, but it takes a lot of faith. It takes a leap of faith to think, not only am I going to bring this guy over, we're going to play him. We're going to play him in the first team. Never would have happened under David Moyes. You could not convince me otherwise. You really couldn't. And you know what? You wouldn't try and convince me because you know it to be true yourself. And I think for that reason, it's just not David Moyes' way of doing things. He likes the mature, the experienced centre-back. He likes all of that sort of stuff. And for all the money he spent, be it 30-odd million on Agurd, 25 million on Zuma, 17 million on Mavropanos. Look, I'm not going to dig out Angel Bonner. He's been a wonderful servant for West Ham. But this guy wouldn't have got a look in, yet there he was completely dominating anything we had. Wouldn't have played for West Ham. In fact, most of that team wouldn't have played for West Ham under David Moyes. Before we get on to Awoniyi, I just want to say we've had another 2 winners on Match Bingo. This app is actually quite incredible, really. So that's 4 winners from Hammer's Chat. You can actually go and look at yesterday's video. Go and look in a chat. Someone's won. We had someone, one of the West Ham patrons, messaged yesterday and said, yeah, look, I've got 2 lines. Literally won 50 quid. Yes, I don't really won 2 lines. Not in that way. Blimey. What do you think this is? He won 2 lines yesterday, won 50 quid. We're up to 4 winners now. It's Match Bingo. The link is in the description below. Download it to your phone. I'm not going to do the big spiel now. The next game is a free game. You can we're up to £175 the prize pool. That's West Ham Brentford's that game. Go and check it out. Use the link below. People are winning money on this stuff. If you don't believe me, go and check out the comments and all the videos. Anyway, really good, really good. Really happy with that app, actually. Not every sponsorship deal is always brilliant, but I've got to say, that's along with ETC, that is, and Manscaped, to be fair. Manscaped makes some pretty good stuff as well. To be fair, we've done all right. One Football, they press we still, even though they don't sponsor us, we still use that app. But honestly, Match Bingo, go and check that out. Links in the description below. Awoniyi's another one. Strong, fast. What's there not to like? I tell you this much: David Moyes would not have signed him. I'd like to make this point here. It took David Moyes 18 months to replace Sebastian Haller. So Moyes came in, took a look at Haller, thought, I don't like him, he's not for me, he don't play my style of football. Took him. He said, the thing is, you can only hold him to account for his own words. David Moyes said, the board are giving me the money from Sebastian Haller. It took him 18 months to spend it. He spent it on Gianluca Scamacca. He sold Scamacca, he's still not replaced Scamacca. Even if he does replace him in the summer, it will have taken him a year. Just to get this right, that's a year. I mean, you could almost argue, if you wanted to, want to be a bit naughty, that it would be 2.5 years to replace Sebastian Haller and still not done it. That's a big deal for West Ham. When West Ham go and commit, which what we did was £42 million on a striker, we need that money. We need that money invested in a team. That money has to be on the pitch. And it's just not. And for that reason, you just look at it. Awoniyi is a decent player, but he's not a world beater. We have been offered a lot of these. Crikey, we got offered Ivan Toney, believe it or not. When he was at Preston, we got offered him. There was an early point when he'd first gone to Brentford. We could have got him there as well. I mean, it's not like there aren't strikers who we can go and get, but we just say no and we don't do it. And it just takes David Moyes just too long to build this team, so we never get there. This evolution, this project, it's never there. West Ham should not, with the money we've spent, with the amount of time we've been in the Premier League, with a manager who's had 4 years to sort of implement his style, we should not be looking at a manager who's just got the job, Nuno has, at Forest, with a bunch of players who haven't been there 5 minutes, doing a better job of the football that we're supposedly meant to be playing. But that's what's happening. That is what's happening at West Ham. Anyway, there you go. I'm not going to keep you waffling on for 20 minutes like I did yesterday. I just thought it was really, really interesting. Moyesball, I saw it. I saw the future, garlic bread and all the rest of it. I saw it. I saw the future. I saw Moyesball. Unfortunately, Nottingham Forest were playing it.